PCM, Thursday morning. Sorry about my camera, for those of you that get video. I was playing with some settings yesterday, and apparently I adjusted the ratio. And now we got black bars down the side of the view. I'm huffing and puffing a little bit because I'm letting the dogs get outside for a little. And hold on. I'm letting the dogs get outside for a little. And they're bugging me. I'm trying to get set up for today. We got a lot to talk about. Somebody was fired and doesn't seem to be reminding his audience of that. So we'll do it for him. We'll come to that. But I see Matrix is finally lying down behind me, chilling out. I presume Shady is in on my bed. Just to be safe, I go in and look. She's not there. I go running out through the back, yelling for her. I don't see her anywhere. I go to the round of the side of the house where she's usually laying, watching for the dogs to walk by and with their parents and wave and bark and whatever. She's not there. I'm yelling for her. And she comes running up behind me, all happy. Hi, Dad, let's play. Yeah, no, get in the house. I run back in. I sit down with like 5 seconds of that countdown clock ticking off. And I'm like, I'm going to make it today. So here I am rambling. Wow. So yesterday, we didn't get to talk about, so we're pushing it off to today. And actually, some of the things we talked about previously, we'll finally get to today. That's what today's whole episode is. And that is what we're calling Fight Right. And we can use the hashtag Fight Right. It's actually spaced out there. It's 2 words, but as you know, a hashtag is not 2 words. So a typo on my part. But hashtag Fight Right, because it seems as though various factions within the right, of which I am sometimes one of them, but various factions within the right don't seem to be able to get along. And we'll take a look at them. Oh, he's live now. Tempting to call bullshit in real time. We'll ponder and come back. We'll be talking about the guy who's live right now, Benny Johnson. Benny Boy. Or as he likes to say, your boy Benny. No, you're not my boy, dude. I like to hang with people who tell the truth and not get fired for plagiarism. Tucker Carlson, speaking of being fired, I'm seeing a pattern here. We'll talk about him, Matt Walsh, Ben Shapiro, and that goofball that we tried to do some analysis over. I need more coffee. That's what it is. The Poplar Report. Keep in mind, it is not the popular report. It is the Poplar Report. And if we get to all that right away, then in hour number 2, we'll have an update on T-Rump, see whose ass he's kissing in the Middle East today, as well as anything left. Meaning, we'll take a look at the left, particularly Americans for Prosperity, who have reached out to me and want to partner. So we'll talk about that too. As well as what I'm going to call Nature Bay News. We're getting into providing local news where there's concentrations of listeners. Speaking of which, I see there's a download. Thanks for that. I should probably start it, huh? There we go. Hopefully I didn't lose somebody. If you just came back, Discord is now up and functional. My apologies for the delay. I'm going to share the screen that we're eventually going to take a look at. Oh, that's right. This is there we go. I'm going to share the screen that we're eventually going to take a look at. And the camera, I might just leave the camera off because the camera is, I don't know why they do that, but it's mirrored. And I hate that. I'll tell you what else. I'm going to share a different screen. Because of that, I'm going to share the one that has me, as in that one. And then I can minimize everybody else. There we go. And we're live. Back to Discord. Thanks for joining us there. Thanks for joining us on Instagram, on the Biz Growth Collective, and where else? It seems like I'm constantly adjusting my desktop. Radio X, radio. I think I see. I think that's Nathan over on Discord. Let me know. Is this show also going to be on Radio X Country? I know we had talked about being on Radio X and Radio Live, but when Radio X Country is launched? When Radio X Country is launched, will we be there as well? Also, we're on WZQR in Pineland, Florida, DNR Studios, in the DNR Studios app. Go to dnrstudios.com to download that. The Biz Growth Collective, like I said. We've been having more technical issues with Chatter, and I know it's in beta, so we'll give it a little rest. We'll come back later. KSHP, except Thursday, so we're not there today. Right Talk Radio, that's up and running. There was a glitch earlier this week. That's all fixed. Nathan did a great job of that. Right Talk Radio, Rainbow Radio, Yergs Radio, and the rest of the Mastiff Media Network. If you're on Discord, there's the QR code on your screen to... Guys, let me know, did that take you to our server or did that take you directly to the voice channel? I think there's chat enabled. Maybe not. I'm not even seeing it. More options, grid view, show my own camera. Board Pro, yeah, well, maybe not. Oh yeah, show no message previews. So, okay. So hopefully, there it is. I think that went to the chat. I'm totally live and pathetic with Discord. Okay, we got a reply. Is that Superfan Ken on Discord? Is that him? I don't know. It is. It is. All right. Superfan Ken has transitioned to Discord, but we know where he's at, and he knows where we're at. That's the bigger thing. All right, let's get into it. So, a couple weeks ago, I got to look at the board to get the names right. Matt Walsh is this guy. And I'm still filling out all of the Matt Walsh is the lumber sexual. I'm still filling out all the tabs for today's show. Matt Walsh, here we go. Wow, not attractive. That's
unclear what's happening in this country. It's Nazism.
Hold on. Let me share here on the main screen. There we go. Here's this I mean, his normal look is not that good. This is not what I would put up for my very first impression of new listeners or viewers. Fed up with the talking heads? Matt gives you a no hold barred take on today's cultural, religious, and political issues. Yeah, it's no holds barred, all right. From the white guys who brought you What's a Woman, now streaming on Daily Wire, Matt Walsh, Am I Racist? I don't know the answer to that. I can see you're an asshat. But anyway, this guy appeared on Tucker Carlson roughly 2 weeks ago. And he actually said that if you're a nation state, Israel, for example, and you can't stand on your own, you deserve to be taken over by whoever's supporting you. And in fact, you already have been. Now let's think about that. He is saying that if there is influence over top of a nation, the influencing nation, the influencer, owns the influencee. Are we not about to take possession of a $400 million airplane from a terrorist nation state? It's not? Well, hold on. I shall pull up for you another tab. And we'll just search these quick words here. In fact, I think I had it. I just don't know if it was this profile. Trump, Qatar, terrorism. And there it is. When he called Qatar a
historically
state.
Been a funder of terrorism.
Hold on. Let me expand that.
The
Let me
nation
expand
of
that.
Qatar, unfortunately, the nation of Qatar, unfortunately, has historically been a funder of terrorism at a very high level. And in the wake of that conference, nations came together and spoke to me about confronting Qatar over its behavior. So we had a decision to make. Do we take the easy road, or do we finally take a hard but necessary action? We have to stop the funding.
And what road do we think T-Rump took this week? In case you haven't been tracking, I'll give you one more hint. Its retail value is $400 million. That's what sits behind door number one.
Of terrorism. I decided, along with Secretary of State Rex Tillerson, our great generals and military people,
all of whom you fired,
the time had come to call on Qatar to end its funding. They have to end that funding and its extremist ideology in terms of funding. I want to call on all of the nations to stop immediately supporting terrorism. Stop teaching people to kill other people. Stop filling their minds with hate and intolerance. I won't name other countries, but we are not done solving the problem, but we will solve that problem. Have no choice.
have no choice. What is that we say? If you can't beat them, let them buy you. Checking in with some of the folks in the chat. Superfan Ken switched over to Discord. Nathan and Scott Browning are there. Let's see what else we got here. Scott says up the middle will be on all Dare Media radio stations once they launch. Awesome. Thank you for that. That's Scott from Dare Media and Radio X Country, and Radio Live. And there's a what was it? An EDM. You can put it in the other chat if you need to. I can't share that one on the screen, but obviously I can yell it out. Radio X Live, all of the Dare Media, and likewise, I'm having to go back to the manual, sit here for an hour, because one, the new switches that you've done with Dare Media, I got to take that new URL and send it to BR Logic, but that's only going to be for a short while. I would put a request for a call to one of the other folks that Jay mentioned, ReliaStream, and hopefully I'll hear back today or tomorrow and get kind of centralized. And maybe if you guys need me to, take Right Talk Radio with Yerg's Radio and Rainbow Radio to them, or leave it with you at least for a little while, or we'll see what all happens. I'm not in a rush to do anything with that one. If you don't like how the cards lay, then flip the table. Yeah. We've got our $400 million table flip. So this guy has said that if you can't be on your own, you are the property of, essentially, those who fund you. But there it is. We'll put more about that up when we talk about his conversation with Tucker Carlson. So back to Benny Boy, this guy. What do you think? Oh, I'm burping up coffee now. Maybe I should just switch to protein shakes. Drop the coffee. He's live right now. That's what this lit up red circle and says so right there. I just gotta. So what if I get kicked off, right?
Weber.
You know I'm going to lose my temper over this, right?
To investigate what was actually going on.
Oh, sleep. Okay, I love how they call Joe Biden.
They've been as responsible.
I love how they call Joe Biden Sleepy Joe. Does this guy look like he's awake? I forget what the hell his name is, but he's the guy that was was he like the, I don't know, he was something in Trump's campaign after running against Trump and Trump 1.0.
As anything for to deteriorate, but inform the people so that the country could be run on the will
there's
of the
when
people.
Biden fell.
But
yeah.
How can it be run on the will of the people?
I guess we could talk about the way T-Rump creeps down a stage and tips a golf cart. But anyway.
And they run with it, and particularly if they hear it a lot. You know, it was Goebbels and Hitler who understood that. Just keep saying the same thing over and over, and people will.
You mean like the White House does?
And I implore the young journalists out there to have some courage and to step out and to be honest and to be decent and to be patriotic.
Do you think that Joe
I'm right
Biden
here.
should be charged with
Is that Ben Carson? Is that who that is?
I would hope that she could just fade into the background and disappear.
Like both of you.
And let's just move on from that whole embarrassing episode.
I agree with you, Doctor, but she seems dead set on dragging his corpse out to the View and to further embarrassment. I mean, as long as there's a pulse, and
Hold
some
on.
warmth left in those hands, she's going to...
Hold on. Let me see if I can. I don't know if I can add another. Once I have that up, I don't think I can add anything else. Can I share one more screen? Let's see. Yeah, it's Ben Carson. One thing, let me see if I can maybe create another window. And we'll just compare that to, where did it start up? There it is. We'll just compare that to, we're just going to Google something quick here called Donald Trump's makeup. There we are. Matrix, go lie down. Let's show that one. Talk about a corpse. Do either of those look good to anybody? And here they are talking about Joe Biden, who, by the way, I don't know if any of you are tracking this, but just in case you're not, he's no longer president. Do we all know that? Is this common knowledge, or am I the only one that paid attention on January 20th? Joe's done, as he should be. The guy has been in public service for as long as I've been alive. My career wasn't half that long. And I was ready to go. He deserves a vacation. This lovely photo comes to us from thelist.com. Not quite sure which list it is, but yeah, clearly a slow news day when you have Ben Carson on. I mean, seriously, does he look like he's awake? Let me switch back so you can tell me what you think. You tell me. Is Ben Carson napping there? I mean, he's not watching. Not through those squinty eyes. I mean, is that his best African Asian impersonation? What is that? Yeah, they're Biden again says Biden and Obama live rent free in Trump's head, and Benny Carson's Benny and Benny. It sounds like a comedic law firm. Yeah, it's Benzo Carson. Why does Ben Carson look like he's on decaf? Because he looks like he's asleep. That's pretty obvious. And by the way, the FBI, back before they were bought, has determined that the Betsy Ross flag, the one in the background behind Benny Boy, actually the Benny Boy on the left, is a white supremacist symbol. It has nothing to do anymore with patriotism. It is, if you were a patriot, if you were showing patriotism, you would be showing as a display the actual current American flag. And you would be doing so properly. When you see it draped like that from a mast, but they have this triangular look, there is actually a frame inside the flag clipped into it that's holding it in that position. That is essentially flag blasphemy, because the American flag like the people used to be, should be flying free and never restricted. That is a restriction, and it is therefore not flying free. You see that on stage a lot. You see Ben Carson has been asleep since 1981. Yeah, probably, quite possibly. You see that on stage a lot. That's not what I wanted to do. I'm trying to get rid of that bottom toolbar. Let's just try this.
Just keep riding that old horse, and so it's brutal. It's tough to watch, honestly.
Speaking of,
why should one of them from BFE be able to block anything that the Trump administration does? I don't.
So inspiring. Anyway, the point is that our Patriot mobile device works there in Butler with what had to have been 50,000 people that showed up, and they are just with us.
Oh, I love the way these people count. There was, I forget which one it was, but there was one of the events before the election, a campaign event in, maybe it was Atlantic City. I know because my friends in Atlantic City office were in charge of it, which is part of the Philadelphia office. And a good friend of mine that I was at the Washington field office with was at that time the special agent in charge of Philadelphia. And he's not the source. I know better than to jeopardize his security. But somebody there was able to send me video of the audience, the crowd, while the Trump people were saying that this event in Atlantic City was so crowded and so many people. Meanwhile, the video is of the small crowd leaving the venue while Trump is talking on stage. This is why I don't understand, and I'm starting to believe. I'm not believing them because we're taking this forward and moving up. But I'm starting to consider that while 2020 was not rigged, maybe 2024 was. If you look into when the bomb scares were called in Pennsylvania, and when all of a sudden the surge of red votes came in, they were counted immediately after the bomb scare. Bomb scares. And just so many of the Freudian slips of T-Rump and others, I go, wow, yeah. What's history going to say about this one? Anyway, so Benny had something to do with it. Or maybe it was, well, actually it was Shapiro. But there was another pissing match amongst the right. And one of the things that they're finally saying, Ben Shapiro is saying, why is he over there? Why is he accepting a plane from Qatar or Qatar? What if Biden did that? We would be talking about that for months. Just like they're talking about his age for months after he's out of office. I do want to kind of address that. Do you want to screw with them? Oh, you have to be a subscriber. I don't think I'm going to be able to do this. Yeah, I can't chat. Oh, is this it here? Should President Trump suspend habeas corpus for criminal? No, there's no reason to. Oh, there we go. What do I want to say? There. Slow news day, Benny Johnson. Wyatt Earp. Anybody going to reply back? Am I going to get banned here too? I was banned from Hassan. What's his nuts? The far left guy. There's too many people that chat in that stupid shit. Nobody cares. All right, speaking of nobody cares.
Never part of the Constitution. The question that I want to know is why does Raskin continue stream media, and we have to take that back? And I'm telling you, there aren't many of us out here, Benny. It is such
we knew that.
You see media,
yep,
right?
That part, yep.
But they're not. We're talking legacy media, lamestream media, that they don't ask any questions. They don't hold anybody accountable. I mean, right now, without people like us on the ground out here, including yourself, without people like you reporting from places like this, it would be completely controlled by the liberal lamestream media, and we have to take that back. That's why I'm excited to be able to do something here.
That's right. So, okay, well, what question did you get a question in on Pelosi? What question are you going to ask Democrats that show up to this?
No, well, first of all, when it comes to Pelosi, for example, and you have Jamie Raskin here as well,
Okay, remind me of something. When I hire any one of you to go on location for me, let's do like some sort of practice first and make sure you guys have a clue, because this guy doesn't. Oh, this is sad. This guy has, what's his following? 3.78 million subscribers. Why? Why? For what? What are you subscribing to? Besides to feel good about yourself and your own inadequacies. Trump welcome. See, there it is. Trump welcome like king to UAE with epic air show. I love how they capitalize all this shit. You people don't know what epic is. And I'm sorry, what is that saying? And camel motorcade? Are you kidding me? Was I not just making claims about how this guy's a white supremacist? And regardless if that's what they did or not, I've got dogs playing in the background. What are you guys doing? You playing? Yeah. Well, Dad, if you're not going to play with us, we're going to play by ourselves. And we're going to make all kinds of noise to piss you off. There it is. My babies. A camel motorcade? Really? I am disappointed I missed that, actually. And then the U.S. secures $3 trillion. I will presume that's not the 400 million that they already secured in the form of an airplane that they can't even use. Now 3 trillion. And we're not supposed to think that we've been bought? Oh, and Trump welcomed like king. Don't you think that's wrong? No? My dog just said no. Well, I do. Okay, he agrees now. I do think that's wrong. We don't have a king. And that you're too much of a coward to not label him as a president pretty much tells me why you've been fired and had to go into it for yourself. Johnson was briefly associated with BuzzFeed, but got his ass fired due to several instances of plagiarism, where he used text from sources such as Yahoo Answers and Wikipedia. Because, I mean, all right, I'm using it now, but let's be honest, Wikipedia is not the most reliable source, which is why I tell people on my team not to use that specifically. Well, he's up from 2.82 million to whatever he's at now. Where are we at? Where do we see? 3.78. Hey, you know what? That's great because he's making bank through the monetization. If his videos aren't being taken down, which during the next 4 years, I doubt they will be. Benny on the Block and Benny's Brews. Follow our other channels. Yeah, no, I'm good. Thanks. I'm not even following this one. Benny Johnson, columnist. In 2010, Johnson began contributing opinion pieces to the far-right website Breitbart. At least I got that part right. From 2011 to 2012, Johnson was a full-time worker for conservative website The Blaze. From 2012 to 2014, Johnson was a staff writer at BuzzFeed until he was fired for plagiarism. What is that source? What do you want? Daddy is on his show like he is every day. Yes, give me a hug. I love you. I love you. Here's the pup. Here's one of them. This is Mastiff. This is Moby the Matrix the Mastiff. Moby is his older brother, who's no longer with us. Down there under the table and running around is Shady. Shady the American Terrier. Daddy's working. Give me a kiss. Kisses. Kisses. All right, well then go. I don't want you then. In 2014, Johnson became digital director at National Review. He was hired within the same year. That's not a good look for National Review. 2015, Johnson left NR to join the Independent Journal Review as a creative content contributor. A month after his relationship with IJR was terminated in October of 20. A month after his relationship with the IJR, Independent Journal Review, was terminated in October 2017, Johnson joined the Daily Caller. In 2019, wow, this guy's got a strong work history. He stays there for a good 2 years. Any one of my 5 assignments in the Secret Service were all longer than that. What? Philadelphia, the Clinton detail, and Los Angeles field office were all 3 years. San Francisco was 4 years. And Washington field office was 8.5. And I left there voluntarily to go to LA, which is where I retired out of. In 2020, Johnson was a host on Newsmax. Shocker. Johnson runs 3 YouTube channels: Benny Johnson, Benny on the Block, and Benny Brews. He also hosts a podcast called The Benny Show. In July 2014, oh, I love this part. Wow. It's always nice to see, when it's long. In July 2014, Johnson was suspended from BuzzFeed when an online investigation exposed plagiarism in his posts. Oh! His writings periodically lifted text from a variety of sources. By the way, I'm crediting Wikipedia for this, to be clear, including Yahoo Answers, Wikipedia, U.S. News and World Report, all without credit. The plagiarism work comprised almost 10% of his work. He was subsequently fired from BuzzFeed and apologized for the plagiarism. In March 20, it's not over yet. I thought there had to be something with IJR because the way that read earlier just sounded not good. In March 2017, IJR staffers accused Johnson of plagiarizing an article about then House Republican Conference chairwoman Kathy Morris Rogers. Later in the same month, Johnson was suspended by the IJR after his involvement in an article which asserted that Judge Derek Watson's partial blocking of Executive Order 13780 was connected to former President Barack Obama's visit to Hawaii. Johnson had been warned that IJR could potentially be promoting a conspiracy theory, but assigned the story anyway. Again, in March 2017, Johnson was reported to have been verbally abusive and driven numerous staffers away from the IJR due to his management style. He was subsequently demoted. Oh! In August 2017, Johnson wrote an article containing the most controversial tweets of what he thought was the Boston Antifa Twitter account, but was actually a fake account intended to lampoon Antifa. Initially, an editorial note was added, and the article was later removed. In April 2022, The Verge published an investigation on Arsenal Media, a conservative boutique co-founded by Johnson. Former employees and contractors described dubious corporate practices, payments delayed for months, contracts with political campaigns rife with self-dealing, overworked and underpaid jobs. I know what that's like. Johnson was been described as very abusive, very toxic, screaming at people, like using profanity, vulgarity, making women cry, like pushing them to the edge. That's a quote from source number 25. McKenna Kelly. The firm made Republicans go viral. Now it's falling apart. Article in The Verge, February 10th. Actually, put here February 10th. The article was from April 20th, 2022. Oh, here's my favorite. In August 2024, 2 Russian state media employees were charged with secretly funding almost $10 million to a Tennessee company for the production of political videos to benefit Russia by influencing the United States. The company's description matches that of Tenant Media, which had employed Johnson and other right-wing influencers, with him responding that myself and other influencers were victim in this alleged scheme, with a request being made for him to produce content for a media startup, and that he had a standard arm's-length deal, which was later terminated. No, you are a Russian bitch. Let's call that what it really is. And speaking of which, he's married to Caitlin Riley. For what that's worth. Oh, wow. Well, that's one. We've got 4 more to talk about, and we're only 45 minutes in. Yeah. But that's Benny Johnson for you. Mr. Straight Shooter. Straight shooter. Cross-eyed. And I love his attempt at the Trump haircut. Okay. There you go. Who lets you go out looking like that in, well, it was 2014. All right. You know, it was 2014. With the sweater vest. And I love how you were so dapper with the sweater vest. But I'm going to open my collar and loosen my tie. Are you casual? Are you... What are you? What are you doing? Oh, what else can we make fun of here? Oh, and because that doesn't look gay at all. Not at all. Is the wife a Beard? Is her name Mary Todd? Oh, Benny. We need a queer eye for the far right guy. Maybe that'll help him out a little bit. Okay. I got to take a break. When we come back, we'll get to at least. Oh, wrong one. We'll get to at least take a look at the pissing match between Tucker Carlson and Ben Shapiro. And I think Matt Walsh is in on this too. We'll find out after this. This is Up the Middle on the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be back after these words. Hey gang, my name's Jurgs. I'm the CEO of the Yerger Group and Mastiff Media. We're partnering with Dare Media of Australia and are looking for new content. Do you have a podcast? Or maybe a live stream? Does it have a positive message? Is it about sports? Is it political? Is it news coverage? Is it for the LGBT community? Or is it even music? Don't forget, we're partnering with Dare Media of Australia. So not only could your program be heard on our stations here in the United States, but also in Australia. So if that's you, send us an email on air at yergsradio.com. That's on air at yergsradio.com. The yergs.radio URL does not have email. On air at yergsradio.com. And let's get you on air. Have you guys not heard anything I just said? God damn it. I muted the video stream and nothing else. So I'm hearing everything in my head fine. Oh, you did hear everything okay on video? Ken's hurting me like cattle. I know you're just shorthanding it. Okay, good. Now, where was I? Let me go back here. Yeah, Hassan Piker. I got I got banned from because I called him out on some bullshit, which sucks because he's actually a good-looking guy, a nice body too. So yeah, I wasn't expecting to get any sort of reply. Yeah, he is Benny Johnson's style is very condescending, and which is okay if you agree with him, because then he's not being condescending to you. But if he's really trying to reach people, if he was so right, and if he was really trying to reach people that are from the left or might be conservative but disagree with Trump, wouldn't you be more successful if you were a little bit more welcoming? But that's not how he rolls. That's not at all how he rolls. And yeah, because this is the story that I was telling you guys yesterday, right before the show. I went out to collect my recycling bin from the collection day, which, speaking of mine, I think they just sent me to collections because I got a bill that's past due. But this is funny too. Benny's voice hurts my eyes. Yeah. I mean, yeah. So Ken says, but I'm on Discord and watch from Facebook. Yeah, so that's a different feed. Only the video that goes to the distribution of social media channels like Facebook, YouTube, and so on. It was muted, and I didn't realize it because that's when I was yelling at the dogs. But I realized that if I did that, you would still hear me on the radio. You would still hear me on Discord. You would still hear me on Chatter. Well, not Chatter today, but Instagram and Bizgrowth Collective. But anyway, because that's all separate. That's all separate feeds. That's why sometimes I lag. Oh, son of a bitch. I never started Instagram. Well, there's that. We'll get the second hour there. So I'm out getting my garbage pail. And this guy in a golf cart, we talked about that yesterday, goes driving by. And he's playing some talk show. And he's blaring it. He's proud to be listening to this talk show. Clearly. And I recognize the voice. And I'm slowing down so as to not get to my garbage can too fast. And I'm reaching, and I'm hearing it. I'm like, it's him. The guy's listening to Benny Johnson on, I don't know. I don't think he's on radio. I just think that like the live stream is on audio also, kind of like we also do in addition to radio. Maybe he was playing YouTube and just listening to it. I don't know. I don't care. Sadly, I live on a cul-de-sac. So as he went down all the way down to the end, the guy's driving around. I don't know why this is a thing, but the guy's driving around in his golf cart and just driving around in his golf cart. He's just checking town. I guess he's like the neighborhood watch with his two dogs. It makes him the neighborhood canine unit. I don't know. But he's just checking town with his dogs. And Yeah. So it was Benny Johnson. I just started like twitching, like convulsing a little bit. Oh, oh. Anyway, I need a sip here, which probably shouldn't be doing with coffee because it actually dries you out. But so about when was this? Was it that? Wow, it wasn't long ago. This apparently was back in February when I was checking in. Travis Evans checking in. Good morning. Soon to be afternoon. Very soon to be afternoon. I guess this was actually that long ago. I didn't realize that. So Tucker Carlson. Let's look at the first one first. Oh, oh, oh. Talk about twitching and seeing certain things in life when I'm unarmed. That's just not right. It should have told me this bitch was going to be on. And talk about condescending. Oh my God. I could never stand Megyn Kelly on Fox. I can't stand her on Sirius XM. I thought Sirius XM was better than that. But here she is with her Shure SM7B microphone and a fancy background, just like all the other podcasters who are probably working from a closet instead of a construction site, like some of us. So here's my take on Ben. I want to like him. And I guess at the end of the day, I do. He is very well researched. He's very knowledgeable. But like so many people on either side, he's got an obvious and definite slant. Like his whole reason for, well, his primary reason, what he puts forward as his primary reason for not wanting Trump to accept this airplane is because Qatar has funded, as we saw in the video earlier, has funded terrorism against Israel. That's why you don't want him to take this plane? Forget about the fact, despite what Pam Bondi tries to say, the fact that it blatantly prohibits that in the Constitution. And that it must be approved by, like, this could actually legitimately happen. And under the current environment, I think it probably will. But it has to be approved by Congress. And as Benny Boy so accurately put, King Donald, who owns Congress, can probably make that happen. Now we'll see if anybody in Congress, besides Democrats, have a set of balls. Which I doubt. Because, I mean, look at what they're doing to Medicaid. We'll talk about that tomorrow. I can't even get to that today yet. But, oh, I got a YouTube notification. What might that be? Oh, it's just Trumpism just got shook to its core by the new Pope. Okay, well, I don't need that story right now. Now I got all kinds of other shit showing up on my phone. There we go. Let's Ken, you were talking about your ears bleeding and Benny's voice making your eyes hurt. Wait till you hear this bitch.
You and Tucker have been kind of going back and forth on Israel, who's right, and that kind of thing. And it's gotten a little personal on his end a couple of times.
And I don't think Ben Shapiro's like evil. I'm not attacking him as a person. But how much better would it be if he could just sit and say, okay, here's what I think would happen if we joined an attack on Iran?
I mean, a bit of an astonishing statement there from Tucker. I would never doubt his love for the country, even though he and I disagree wildly about a number of topics. First of all, he attributes to me a bunch of things that simply are not true.
I've never taken a dollar from any government. I mean, are you joking? And these are people who are acting on behalf of a foreign government telling me that I'm unpatriotic. And
if anybody has listened to my show, which has a few listeners, over the course of the last several months, you'll see that I talk about all the issues that he mentions there, including the border issue, all the time.
It's Clash of the Titans, the unstoppable object versus the immovable post. We're talking, of course, about a civil war brewing, or at least a bit of rivalry in the all.
Okay, first of all, I've been saying, I'm not sharing the video, sorry. I've been saying that we're at a civil war. To be clear. But, yeah, let's let this guy keep rambling.
Alt-right world of big influencers. Ben Shapiro on one side, Tucker Carlson on the other. I'm media funding editor Colby Hall, and with me is editor-in-chief Aidan McLaughlin. Aidan, is that your name, Aidan?
You got it right.
Aidan.
Yeah, after all.
Yeah, here's the thing. Try to get your guest name right before you go on the air. Just a thought.
These
Not
years,
Jaden.
you finally got my name right.
Can I call you Hayden?
No, I hate when you call me Hayden. H
So-
is horrible. Anyway.
Tucker and Ben are very sort of heroes on the far right, right? They're alt-right, independent media.
So check your camera and check what you're wearing. When your camera is mirrored, some platforms mirror your camera because they think it's easier for the person looking at themselves on a monitor or whatever to have the mirror thing. I don't. I know my left from my right. So I'd rather it show myself exactly what you're seeing at home because I'm doing this for you, not me. But that's why if there's something like, I think Discord is one of them, some of them just mirror it to you, but they actually display it properly. Clearly, whatever these two guys are talking on does not do that because we have the Y backwards N, backwards D, backwards F baseball hat on today. You look like a douchebag. Your shit's backwards. Anyway, and that's clearly a camera setting. It's not just a platform because the guy on the right, all his stuff is properly left to right.
Kind of game-changing figures, you know, both of which were featured prominently on Fox News. Of course, Tucker Carlson hosted the top-rated 8 p.m. hour there for a long time. And they're both pro-MAGA, pro-Trump, and in different sort of ways. Lately, there seems to be a pretty bitter fight between the two. And that's not something you typically see, like Republican on Republican violence. But these two don't agree and seem to not like one another.
Wait, Republican on Republican violence? Did he just, Travis, if you're still there, Superfan Ken, did he just compare this little pissing match, this small penis contest, measuring contest within the MAGA movement to black crime statistics? Is that what I just heard? Is that what I just heard right there? Black on black violence. Is that the, because I think that's where he's going with this. Like, their life is so bad. Oh, the MAGA movement. I have to change to another cardigan sweater. Yes, he did. Repub on repub violence. I mean, is that what you got, though? The point being, he's like making a comparison to life in the black community and where a large percentage of violent crime comes from, almost making it sound like It's okay. Let them kill each other. Oh, wow. Because, no, that Betsy Ross flag doesn't mean white supremacism at all. No.
Explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old as you see it. What?
That's the smartest thing this guy ever said. Yeah. Oh, explain to me like I'm a 5-year-old. Yeah, I can get your wife to do that.
What's going on here?
Yeah, so I mean, I think everyone knows about the evolution of Tucker Carlson, which is really the thing that has.
Is it meth or a sweater in your mom's basement? Why are your lips so dehydrated? Like, wow. And you actually went on camera looking like that. That's brave. Maybe a little petroleum jelly over top of that. As always, the link to this video will be in the chat. And just skip till you find this guy. I mean, if you could lube him up a little bit, that would be some sweet DSL working there. But, and I'm not talking about internet, but the texturizing, yeah, no. Kim says, I'm like these dumb bitches. Yeah. They're not in touch with anything but MAGA. That's their issue. And God forbid they actually reach out. He's got an MV7 microphone. I can tell by the... Oh, you hearing that? Static? There we go. Yeah. I don't know what it is. My audio interface gets that static that you heard for a little bit. But that microphone is what I used to use. It's the MV7. I can tell because he's using an XLR connection. That's the bigger, thick microphone cable. But there's also a small USB connection that he can go directly to a computer. But, just those lips. It's scary.
Fueled this feud, I would say, over the years. You know, Tucker started out as a pretty traditional conservative writer and journalist. He was actually a great journalist. If you go back and read some of his stories that he wrote for Esquire,
Right.
really, really brilliant writer. And at the time, he was sort of a bow-tied, traditional, Heritage Foundation.
Fun fact, and we'll make it a trivia question really quick. Dinner for Two, 69 is a romantic... That's awesome. 69 is a romantic dinner for two. Well, hello from Tampa. Welcome, Australia. Clear some things out here. Yeah, where was I just going to say? Damn it. I got to replay this. I got to
go back and read some of his stories that he wrote for Esquire.
Right.
Really, really brilliant writer. And at the time, he was sort of a bow-tied.
There it is. Fun fact, and we'll make it a trivia question. Do we know why Tucker Carlson no longer wears a bow tie? We'll play the rest of this and we'll come back. Yeah. Thanks, Ken. Appreciate you. Why does Tucker Carlson no longer wear a bow tie? Let's listen to this goofball while you think that out.
Traditional, Heritage Foundation conservative.
Right.
And that was, 20 years ago. He had some heterodox views. I don't want to give him short shrift and just pretend that he was, sort of a cookie cutter, National Review conservative. He did have some heterodox views, but for the most part, he wasn't the person that we know today, which a lot of people would consider an extremist. And he sort of languished in
you think?
The sort of B side of cable news for years. He got fired from CNN. He got fired from MSNBC. And then on Fox News, he was on Fox and Friends Weekend, which is really not.
Okay, you just got a hint. You just got a hint of what the bow tie situation Might be. Let's see if we got something in the chat. I'm a huge Charlie Kirk fan. You watch him as well. Only to get intel and only to get possible story items for me to talk about. I don't like talking about other creators like this, but sometimes they're so far off that they gotta either somebody's gotta tell the world that they're a screwball, or it's just fun to sit here and laugh at them. Charlie Kirk is one of those Bible thumpers, and being a person of faith myself, I don't think God needs my help. I don't fancy myself that cool or important that I'm going to save the world through some Christian mission that I'm going to do. He doesn't need me. He's good. But Ken thinks it made him look like a character, which he still is. Well, that's a thing. See, you got to understand the history of the bow tie and the seersucker suit and that whole, Southern gentleman look that still exists today on Capitol Hill, like it's a goddamn museum. Hey, Jimenez, see you on Instagram. Welcome, buddy. And that's what he was going for when he dressed on the air at CNN. And yes, I have heard his hyena laugh. And it's used, in fact, the incident that I'm about to share with you is he used that, and you could tell how fake it was because he was being ripped apart by his guest or their guest. Let me deal with this. Anyone you recommend I should check out so I can get more educated? Well, I would say that's a great question because we actually deal with that very situation here at Up the Middle, hence the name of the show. If we go back 2 years, I did my first episodes on fact checking, and not only how to fact check, but why to fact check. I have a slant. I have a bias. There is nothing I can do with the production of this show that is going to level that out or eliminate it. Does not matter. I'll tell you a story quick, and then I'll get back to give some more time to people to try to figure out the firing of Tucker Carlson from CNN and why he no longer wears a bow tie. Back in my years, I forget what they are, 2004 to 2007, I attended a book signing from this lady who was a journalist for National Public Radio, what we here in the States call NPR. She wrote a book called Naked in Baghdad. Tells about her time covering the Iraq War from Bush 43. She, before the signing, she did a Q&A part in an auditorium. And this one lady, the audience, understandably so, was a lot of the ladies. And this one lady gets up, thanks her for being so impartial and so accurate and unbiased with her coverage of the Iraq War, and made women look really good, which she did. The lady, Ann Garrels, was absolutely an amazing journalist. She passed away from lung cancer about 7 years ago. But she shot the lady down. She said there's no such thing. And she did it politely. But she was honest about the fact that she can stand there and tell a story and get all the facts right in a proper timeline, everything you could possibly imagine. And a man or another female reporter, anybody, can be right there with her, telling the same story, delivering different information, and be just as accurate as she was. because when you get that story from any journalist, you're getting it through the eyes and ears of that journalist. So the amount of control that they have is amazing, which is why governments try to silence the freedom of press and now all sorts of media. So I talk about, I'm open about the fact that when I do this analysis today, I have a bias. This is not information that you take and go to a bar and get in a discussion and share with me as your source. This is a place for you to start to do your own homework. And as an educated voter, something that's a dying breed and an endangered species, that's how you should make and form your own opinion. Yeah, Ken has a good suggestion. Reese Waters, Jesse Dollamore, I think is a really bright. He's an attorney and journalist. He's more on the left. I've heard of Reese. I don't know about Reese as much. Thanks for the plug, of course, me. Speaking of which, I'll share this with you quickly. Maybe. There we go. Bookmark these two. In addition to the QR code, which I'll put back up, bookmarkyurgs.com. That's where you can get the video feed of every show. And then yurgs.radio is an audio feed for not just me, but other programs. That's our station. That's our one radio station. But that's my first and my primary. That's 24/7. The video feed on yurgs.com is only when I'm live. And then also, here's our Discord. We've had this. It's just I haven't been smart enough to put it up here for everybody else to see. If you scan that QR code, that'll take you to the Mastiff Media Discord server where you can join the voice channel and get the show there. So let's reveal. Let's get through this. We need a T-shirt that says "Show your own homework." Yeah, something like that, and then promote the show. Yeah, well, I'm actually looking at a bunch of there's, as you might know, I had my own minivan wrapped as the Mastiff Media minivan. I can actually put that up quick. Let's get rid of this clown. I'll find that quick as I tell this story. So there still is a comedian who, for many people, is their source of news. And I know you've all heard of him if you're remotely a political junkie. A man by the name of Jon Stewart, who was on the the CNN TV show that Tucker Carlson was a co-host on, called Crossfire. And I forget who his co-host was. I don't remember. But the co-host was more liberal or progressive and was kind of the MC of the show in that obviously this is a more liberal or progressive network. So he'll welcome everybody to the show and Tucker will say his part and also welcome everybody, blah, blah, blah. And because this comedian was also an activist in many sense of the word, they had him on, and and he ripped into him. Like, guys, you got to be doing better than this. You suck. And Tucker Carlson was not ready for it, and he was not having it. So he tried to push back. It was a disaster. There were things like, because Jon Stewart's show was, and I believe still is, I get it on YouTube now, but his show was on the Comedy Network or Comedy Central. And Tucker tried to push back by saying, you have your slant, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. He says, yeah, but the show that leads into mine are a bunch of puppets making prank phone calls. It was a show called Crank Yankers, which is hysterical. Funny. Hey, Jerky. Like a thing like the Jerky Boys. They would call, and actual voice actors were making prank phone calls, but they'd have these puppets do the video part of it. It was great. Point being, how serious are you going to take a news show that's on a comedy network? This is an actual news network. And he turns to Tucker and he asks, how old are you? And they did this show in front of a live audience, by the way. He looks at Tucker and he says, how old are you? 28, 33. He was young. He got to start at a high level at a young age. Awesome. All for that. He says what his age is, whatever it was. And Jon Stewart, in a very calm and condescending way, just kind of leans into him and says, and you wear a bow tie. And the crowd went nuts. To the best of my knowledge, that was the last time you saw Tucker Carlson in a bow tie on TV. It was also the last time you saw him and his co-host on the TV show Crossfire. That was, I think that was like a Thursday. There was some other show in their place on Friday, maybe. But by the following week, they were both fired. Not just canceled, fired. And that, as Ken's pointing out, that was an epic. Benny Johnson, are you listening? This is a good use of the word epic. That was just an epic episode that has become cable news history. John slaughtered Tuckums Crossfire. Joy Reid also slaughtered Tuckums as well. Is that from the View? Is she from The View, I think? And that's the Daily Show for John. Yeah. And he's back with that, right? He left for a little bit. And I think it was the black dude, another funny son of a bitch. I'm brain farting on what his name is, unfortunately, but no, she had her own show then and got let go. Okay. But Noah something was the black dude that I think took over directly after. Maybe it was somebody else too, but John left the Daily Show, and I think that's what he's got now. He came back to it. He came back because he said he flat out missed it. And he came back to just Mondays for a little while. There it is. Yep. Trevor Noah. Yeah, funny dude. And now I think if he's got a show that's daily. I don't know if it is the actual Daily Show, if somebody else still has that or what. But yeah, he's just an amazing. My other favorite of him is when he's commenting on, I don't know if it was a State of the Union by Trump or when it actually was. He's commenting on a bunch of things that Trump said. And it's basically a feature from the first, because this is prior to the election, from the first Trump administration, Trump 1.0, as I call it, about how Trump trampled on the Constitution. And he says, he has some sort of comment about how that is how this guy treats our nation's founding document. If you're not yet convinced, may I offer you something more explicit? And he cuts to the next bit. He tucks to the next clip. And it's when Trump says, I only want to be a dictator for one day. Comes back to John, and he just very calmly says, just so you know, that is how it starts. And here we are. But how did I get on that rant inside? So anyway, I don't say specifics. My personal style and preference is for, and maybe this is the yogi in me, or somebody that goes to church every morning by walking to the Gulf of Mexico and back and realizing that is a good display for the powers of God. But I'm about balance. And so I'm not for extremes on any level without it being heard from the other side. So Benny Johnson, pretty much also Ben Shapiro, although less so. Tucker Carlson, Matt Walsh, the Poplar Report, who's an outright liar. That dude is just wrong. And then on the far left, people like the Young Turks, Hassan Dhabi, or whatever the hell his name was, the guy that banned me. Brian Tyler Cohen is another Ben Shapiro in that he's left. Brian Tyler Cohen makes no bones about the fact that he is pro-progressive. And again, if that's who you are as a person, and therefore that's who you are as a journalist, there's nothing wrong with that because you're genuine to your beliefs. But that doesn't change the fact that you need to be able to and willing to hear contradicting beliefs and personalities. And some of these guys don't. I think Brian does, and I think Ben does. But again, I personally am for balance. So my suggestion, you get kind of buried. I want to go back to trying to find your name. My suggestion, 69, is a romantic dinner for two, is that you also find balance. And when I say that, find somebody that is from the right, as far right as you wish to go, and find their counterpart from the left and hear that too. And realize that none of us talking heads are your source. That should only ever be your starting point. And from there, let Google be your friend. That's one of the comments that I made 2 years ago during this series of fact-checking episodes. And I can make a note to put fact-checking in the links to the fact-checking episodes in the notes, so you can come back and get them. The advantage that we have today for the capability of fact-checking is the phrase that I said almost 2 years ago. It will be this summer. You no longer have to be able to spell Google to be able to use it. What I mean by that is, for those of you kids who don't remember, back in my day, 20 years ago, when the internet was quite young, you actually had to go to google.com, to the actual website first, before being able to Google anything. Now I can, well, I mean, you just type it into the address bar, your question or your keywords, and hit enter. And it comes back with the same result that if you were to go to google.com. And the point of that statement being, if you didn't know how to spell Google, you're fucked. And I'm not on terrestrial radio right now, I know, so I can say that. But yeah, it's a bad day. You're not going to learn anything because you can't search if you can't spell Google. So anyway, as far as branding goes, the company that just did the minivan that you see on the screen right now, and you can go to any of our Facebook pages for those of you listening on the radio, to Ross Yerger, up to Mastiff.media, up the middle, Yerg's Radio, Yerger Group. It's on all of them, I'm sure. They wrapped my minivan to make it look like a news van for the station, for Mastiff Media. I did it for the parent company, not just Yerg's Radio, not just Right Talk Radio. They're all on the back window. This back window here on the rear third of the vehicle are all the affiliate stations that carry my show. So not just my 3 stations, but also Radio X, Radio Live, they're on there. Derek and Romaine are on there. That one right there is for WZQR. One of them is for the UG Media. I think it's that one right there. That's Radio X. This is K-Shop in Las Vegas. Yeah, so they're all there. And what I like about the front is that the coin that you see on the door, the Mastiff Media penny and Mastiff.media web address below it, is backwards on the hood of my car, so that when you're in front of me in traffic and you look in your rearview mirror, it'll be forward to you in your rearview mirror, just like ambulance is on the front of an ambulance. It's backwards, so that when you pull up as the ambulance driver, pull up behind another car, they see that it's you and they can read it left to right. I have got to take a commercial break just for a minute here. It might be a couple of minutes because I do got to get caught up. I got people that are supporting me. We're still trying to monetize, but that doesn't mean that the sponsors that we have aren't putting something into this also. And I certainly appreciate what they do. You can hear from my gym in a second. And that's the only, I'm not playing the one from Right Talk Radio anymore. You guys know about that. I don't need to push that anymore. But this is Up the Middle. Hopefully that answered your question. 69. It's been too long since I've had a 69 dinner. I'm due. This is Up the Middle. And that's a good balance, is 69. Yin and yang look. This is the Mastiff Media Network. We'll be right back with more. I think we'll try to get like a Trump update in, see where he's at over there. And we'll talk about America for Prosperity, or Americans for Prosperity, right after this. What are you doing later? I'll tell you what I'm doing. I'm going to the gym, but not just any gym. Momentum Fitness and Wellness. Walk right up to the door. There's a QR code on the door. You can sign up right there. You've got no excuse. But not only that, their equipment is amazing. It's kept up well. It's expanded. There's stretching area. There's CrossFit. There's hardcore training. A dedicated area for stretching, dunk tanks, sauna, everything you need to get that Hernando beach body or keep your Clearwater beach body. You can train with your shirt off, you can scream, you can yell, and you won't be intimidated either. Go to Momentum Fitness and Wellness on US 19 in Bayonet Point, Jasmine Estates. Build the momentum. All right. Some of our live spots. You guys know about Mastiff Media Discord by now. And there's a bunch that scan that QR code in the beginning of the show. That's another place where you can get us. And in the event that we are taken down on some other platform, that'll be an option. I mean, that might be one that gets taken down. Who knows? But we will be there on Discord. Also, The Broken Mirror of Memory, Iraq and Other Tales by Joseph Stoll. Scan that QR code. It'll take you to Amazon. And you can get his book out now. He is also going to be, well, we'll do that in the plugs later. He's also going to be on Coast to Coast AM later this month. Daily Crypto News, hosted by Matt Deemer. That's, as the name suggests, daily. And you can learn about it. That show, that podcast, taught me so much about crypto and about investing. Really appreciate what he's done. He's with me every Friday for Friday Fights. He's been out, he's traveling right now. Dude has done well for himself. And I don't think he needs to really work for a living, but he just says, you know what, I'm going to get a car and go. And he does. God love him. And we love him. We appreciate what he does for us here at Master Media. You'll see him on Friday as he co-hosts with me Friday Fights. What else? The Biz Growth Collective is done by our friends at Build-A-Space. So up there in the corner is the QR code for Build-A-Space. You can go to builda.space. That's the URL for that. Biz Growth Collective that's going to be the next LinkedIn. That's one of the places we're broadcasting to right now. And we do every day. Scan that QR code to get your membership on the Biz Growth Collective. And finally, don't forget, Yergs is on Cameo. Scan the QR code on your screen. I think it's like $5. And I can chew you out. I could do some dumbass phone callers. Or we can pretend to have a good conversation with you. I can wish you a happy birthday. Good luck on a test. Good luck on a job interview. Whatever you want me to say. I can answer questions about the Secret Service within reason. There are some things I can't talk about, and I won't. But if you ask whatever's on your mind, if I can't answer it, we'll find you another question. But you'll get your money's worth. Cameo. Go to go to cameo.com/Yergs YERGZ/book if you miss out on the QR code or if you're just listening on the radio. I've got a call later this week or maybe next week, speaking of QR codes, where we are going to be in beta for some new technology coming to the audio industry, the radio industry. All right. Let's wrap up today with a Trump update. Or actually, no. First, we're going to go to Americans for Prosperity. I think this is, as I go through their website, I think this is a progressive organization, which I'm fine if it's conservative. I'm going to be me, and you're going to get what you get, who I am. But I kind of think this was, sent to everybody, not just me. But Isaac Faulkner is the Grassroots Engagement Director for the Tampa, Florida chapter of Americans for Prosperity. Yep, it's time to quit drinking coffee while I'm on the air. Good morning. My name is Isaac Faulkner. I'm a new Grassroots Engagements Director for Americans for Prosperity in the Tampa area. I want to introduce myself as I continue to get to know the area and learn more about the community. Some key things we're working on now include extending the Trump Tax Cuts and Job Act of 2017, as well as just voter ID work in the area. So that sounds like he's pro-Trump. But some of the other things from their website and the fact that they've partnered with the ACLU suggest otherwise. I am planning some great events and opportunities in the area for people to get involved or to even just get connected. We are always looking for volunteers and potential leaders to work with. If you are interested, we'd love to connect further over lunch, coffee, a call, whatever works best. Please email or text me anytime. So I emailed back because I'm wanting to develop connections with any sort of organization like that, right or left or right, doesn't matter. And I'll make that clear to him. Now, for that same reason, I'm not going to go volunteering and supporting that network with man hours and then not support its polar opposite. That's not okay. And it's also kind of counterproductive. I got work to do here. I can best support either of those agencies, by giving the media coverage for it. And like I said, just because we might not cover as much from the quote unquote right doesn't mean there hasn't been an effort and our willingness to do so. So I don't know which tab I want to use here. There. So here's their site. You guys tell me. Coming. Hang tight. This is the site for Americans for Prosperity. And it's very much about the American dream. I've known that. This is where I thought it was more left-leaning. So, immigration, like, wow, that sounds very right? America needs to secure borders and a functioning immigration system. Congress's decades-long failure to strengthen our border and streamline lawful migration pathways has created a system that undermines the rule of law and fails to meet. That all sounds very conservative. Am I right? Secure borders and ports, increase American competitiveness, America first, clear and predictable rules, transparency, accountability, and due process. Now that sounds a little bit left because clearly the right hasn't been pushing that. They're talking about suspending habeas corpus and so on and so forth. So that makes it sound a little bit more left. But then there's free speech. Protect and preserve the First Amendment. Trump flat out said there are aspects of the First Amendment he wants to do away with. And he has sued every major legacy media outlet except Fox. I just learned that the other day. Stop the worst threats to free speech. That's Trump. So I don't know how this group can be left, or excuse me, I don't know how this group can be right and say that. Fight cancel culture. Now this one, again, made me think left. God damn it. This one made me think that they're more right because they fight cancel culture, disinformation boards, and government attempts to silence Americans. Well, you see what I'm saying? Cancel culture has been done by the libtards. If you don't agree with us, you must be wrong, so we're going to boycott you. But the government attempts to silence Americans, that is Trump. Period. I don't care what you think or who you think you are or who you support. That is Trump. I've had I've been kicked off LinkedIn. I'm not on LinkedIn at all anymore. I started recently another profile just so I could attend this one meeting, and because it was a networking thing and everybody was sharing their LinkedIn profile. So I literally created the profile during the networking event so people would be able to contact me, because we weren't supposed to give out emails, and I don't know, whatever. But I'm not on LinkedIn. I've lost more than 5,000 connections, many of whom took part in Up the Middle and the doggy traders before that. I've had 2 recent videos removed from both YouTube and Facebook. I'm no longer on Twitter because they removed, I was streaming and also using Twitter Voices. Streaming is the video, Twitter Voices is the audio. I was using that and I was doing that, and now you have to have the verified membership, annual membership thing. I don't do that. I don't pay to get a check mark. You can verify who I am by looking at who I am. And then I was also cut off by TikTok. At the new year, when they were about to be banned from the United States, they were letting everybody and their brother stream to their platform because they needed voices to help them get Trump convinced to keep them. Before, there was criteria that you had to make, that you had to achieve before you could stream. And I had not yet done that on TikTok. And I could care if I ever do, frankly. Well, once they got delayed from being banned, they took that free form of membership and removed it and reinstated the qualifications. So I'm like, okay, I see how this is. You don't need me anymore and other content creators like me, and you toss us to the side. You know what? I hope your Chinese ass gets banned. And now I'm happy to help make it happen. Because that's not free speech. And that's not the unity that TikTok was preaching at the time. So I don't know where this group stands. There's so many things, and maybe they are, quote unquote, middle of the road or balanced or whatever. AFP raises free speech concerns over DHS's newly announced Disinformation Governance Board. Yeah, that's left, because clearly Homeland Security is the new SS. Protecting free speech and public safety. There was another one with voting too. What was that? Well, I mean, this should be properly fund law enforcement. As much as they don't do it, that's something that the right claims to do. We must allow law enforcement to focus on preventing and solving serious crimes. Yeah. Cities need to focus on strategies that prevent and reduce violent crime. Yeah. States must continue to enact laws that help individuals successfully reenter society after going through the criminal justice system. That's very left of a political view. So I don't know much about this group. I'm still trying to learn. I'm seeing this balance of left to right. And so maybe, that's why this will be a good agency or organization to get in touch with and to collaborate with, and, certainly talk to their, like the gentleman that emailed me, and people beyond just a Tampa chapter. So we'll be looking at that. And like I said, I kind of think it's a little bit more left leaning. There was something that they did here. Take action. There was something that they did here that was about. So look at this. End Biden's Green New Deal, renew the Trump tax cuts. Extend. That's very tax. That's very Trump. Um, that's just the contact info. There was something that was with the ACLU, which definitely made me think this was not from the right. And also, progressives usually use grassroots as a word. Was it economic progress? I don't know where I saw it, but I know I saw ACLU here. Eliminating corporate handouts that pick winners and losers at the expense of hardworking tax. That's very left. Giving workers more freedom and flexibility through labor reform. Repealing, that's left. Repealing the regulations that keep businesses, entrepreneurs, and committees from moving forward. Pro-business, that's a little bit more right. So, I don't know. Anyway, I don't know. All right, so Trevor Noah was the guy that I was trying to think of. He was the other host of The Daily Show, yes, who is South African. He also has a political podcast on YouTube. I did know that he was South African, actually, and I presumed he had a podcast somewhere. We all do. John is doing The Daily Show once per week at this time that I know of. He may have opted for more days. I'll have to research. That's from Superfan Ken. And the co-host, side producer Ken over here on the cultural things. Yeah. Ken's always been a big help. Superfan Ken works from home and has us on while he's doing it. Could the group be a grift? Are you referring to Americans for Prosperity? Maybe. And maybe. Good question. Fair question. Take that down now. Yeah, I mean, it could be. It very well could be. I don't know. Put some rounded corners in there. There we go. Yeah, well, that took enough. So let's go through some plugs and get out of here on time today. Sportcat will not be up next. He's still dealing with some family issues in his new home of Memphis, Tennessee, general area. So it's going to be a best of today. There we go. Check out Joseph Soul's book, The Broken Mirror of Memories, Iraq and Other Tales. The QR code was on the screen. We'll put that back up before we go. Coast to Coast AM on the 29th of May, 12 a.m. Pacific time. Check him out there. Caroline Williams, the CEO of Happy Health, was going to join us this coming Monday, but had to reschedule. That's a TBD date. But she will be back. And that's a very interesting story. If you are somewhere in the world where you can't tell you can't tell your company or your country, your government that you're listening to us, write us through the following address. It's for my hotel. And tell us that you want a vacation from wherever it is that you live, and we'll make sure to keep sending our show to that area. Write me at Yergs, at Shea Yergs Yergz, Y-E-R-G-Z, at Sheyergz, CHEZYERGZ.com. The Sea Ranch Civic Association, if you're in the Pasco, Nature Coast, northern Tampa Bay area, that's a great organization to be a member of. Go to mysrca.com and sign up today. Jane Stahl is the manager of Studio B on Philadelphia Avenue in Boyertown, Pennsylvania. You can go to the website, Studio BBB, 3Bs, studiobbb.org for more information. She's also the co-editor of the Boyertown Area Expression, our town's digital newspaper. It's a bunch of really cool things to check out there. Do so by going to Boyertown Area Expression.town.news. She's joined there by fellow teacher Leslie Misko. You can write Jane by writing her at Jane E. Stahl, S-T-A-H-L, at Comcast.net. Matt, as I said, hosts the Daily Crypto News 5 days a week. Learn more by going to dailycryptonews.net. He's here with me every Friday. You can write him, Matt, at dailycryptonews.net. You can get us all by going to writing news, N-E-W-Z, at Yergz, Y-E-R-G-Z.com. You can use that for tips, news tips, as well as a catch-all to get any of us here at Mastiff Media. Bookmark Yergz.com and Yergz.radio. Yergz.com has the video of the show and any time that we go live with video. And Yergz.radio is 24/7. But that is one of the homes of Up to Middle. For show notes and more information, go to mastiff.media. Remember, .media, .radio, our URL, website address endings, and you can use them to learn more about all of us. Up next is a best of Sportcat's Daily Gazette. I don't know if he's got that program to play as a video on his YouTube channel, but any other time you can get the live show at Para or Normal Guys on YouTube. Para or Normal Guys, guys with a Z, all one word, on YouTube. Today, you'll still be able to hear it on Yergz Radio, Rainbow Radio, Right Talk Radio, Radio X, and Radio Live. Probably the same place that you're listening for right now. All right, everybody, that is it. I will see you again tomorrow for Friday Fights with Matt, probably with Matt Deemer. I don't know if he's going to be back yet or not. If not, I'll still be here, and hopefully you will be too. Thanks for joining. Thanks for getting off the porch and running with the big dogs and going up the middle. I'm Yergz. I'll see you tomorrow.